Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Crowd Chatter Podcast. Today we're doing some college basketball. Preseason rankings are now out. First, the top 25 of the season. Got a lot of videos to make and don't have a lot of time, so we're just gonna jump right into it. First, rankings of the year. Starting at number one, we have the defending runner-ups from last season. Going into the championship as a number eight seed, North Carolina ranked number one, pretty much returning their entire team from last season, minus Brady Manick, who they replaced with Northwestern transfer Pete Nance. So I'd say they're doing pretty well. North Carolina is going to have a really good season. I would say. I mean, when you return pretty much your entire team from a year ago, plus you add good recruits and you add transfers, your team is going to be pretty nasty. And they were pretty good last season. I expect the Tar Heels to be just. I expect the Tar Heels to be even better this year. Number two, we have Gonzaga. Gonzaga Zags always are highly ranked, and they're stuck in one of the worst conferences there is in college basketball. Don't really know what's on this team. I haven't really paid that much attention to the college basketball world this offseason, other than Michigan. But I think they got one transfer. I think from I think they got someone who started in a tournament last year. They should have a decent team. They'll probably blow away their conference because nobody in it is any good. So this should be another good year for Gonzaga. We'll really see how far that goes. Number three is the Houston Cougars. Don't really know what this team has either. I think they returned probably most of their team from a year ago. This Houston team still should be solid. They play in a bad basketball conference. The American has not had great teams in there for quite some time. So they'll probably have a cakewalk just like Gonzaga this year, but Houston, solid team. They'll probably stay within the top 10. I highly doubt they'll fall out very much unless they get upset by somebody. Number four is the Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky, obviously, very good team. Flopped in the tournament last year when they got upset by NCAA tournament darlings St. Peter's. The Peacocks went very far, actually, getting to the Elite Eight, first 15 seed to ever do that. It was quite the run by St. Peter's, very impressive. But Kentucky finds himself at number four. Of course, they return, of course, their star from last year, Toshibwe. So they'll still be getting double doubles literally every single game. So this Kentucky team is very good, though. I expect them also to have a very good season, and they actually play in a tough conference, so they actually will be tested. Number five is the Kansas Jayhawks, the defending champions from a year ago. Kansas, very good team. Bill Self is a very good head coach. Kansas should dominate once again. They have a pretty solid team. They still got really good players out there. Obviously, losing Oshai Abaji will be harsh for the Jayhawks, but they should still have a good season. It's Kansas. They'll always have a good year. Also tied for fifth with them is their conference rival, the Baylor Bears. Of course, also coached by a very good head coach and Scott Drew. Or did I say that backwards? This is a really good Baylor team. Once again, gained a very good recruiting class. They got really good players over there. And Baylor gained transfers as well. So this Baylor team will once again, just like I've been saying about all these teams, is going to have a good season. And then we got the Duke Blue Devils now in the post Coach K era. We'll see how that goes. This will be their first year without Coach K, as they lost in the Final Four, ironically enough, to North Carolina, believe it or not. So the Tar Heels knocked off Coach K in his last game. I still find that hilarious that they met in the Final Four. And that's their first meeting, believe it or not, too. But this is a good Duke team. Of course, they'll also be tested early. I believe they have Kansas in the in the State Farms Classic, which also has Kentucky and Michigan State. Those two will play each other as well. I believe that's like November 15th or something. I'd have to look. I don't remember which day it is. But this will be a good season, I'd say. Once again, for the Duke Blue Devils, they have a good team. They always do. It's they won't have Coach K, but it's still Duke, and they're still going to be good. Number 8 is UCLA. The Bruins had a nice season last year, and they bring in another good recruiting class. Johnny Juzang has now left, but they still have some of their players still around from their magical run as a 11 seed to the Final Four, of which they ended up losing on the half court shot by Jalen Suggs and the Gonzaga Zags, who would of course lose to Baylor in the championship. But this is a good UCLA team. They also bring in some good recruits, as always. So this will be another good season for UCLA. The Pac-12 is honestly not great this year. I think the only good team in the Pac-12 for basketball is Oregon and USC. I don't know if they still have anything left, but and Arizona, of course. But UCLA, one of the few good teams in the Pac-12. I would expect another good season from them. Number 9 is Creighton. I don't get this one because I know absolutely nothing about the Creighton, I believe it's Blue Jays, and I really don't even know what they have. So I don't know what got them to number 9. But Creighton ranked 9th in the country. I really don't know who else they have on their team. I haven't paid attention much to Creighton or the Big East. So Creighton ranked number 9. Don't really know if that's accurate, but hey, they're number 9. Number 10 is the Arkansas Razorbacks, with coming in, I believe it was the number 1 recruiting class in the country. So obviously high expectations for Arkansas, bringing in multiple good recruits, and as they should. I mean, when you bring in a number 1, I mean, look at Michigan last year. We came in with number 1 recruiting class, and then we flopped. But we had a high ranking to start off the year with that number 1 recruiting class and already having good players on our team. So we'll see if Arkansas sees the same fate as Michigan. But once again, they come in with the number 1 recruiting class. They slot in at number 10. Number 11 is the Tennessee Volunteers. Well coached, and I think they brought in another good recruiting class. Again, I haven't paid that much attention to the offseason unless it was the Wolverines, so I don't really know that much right now. But this Tennessee team, they always have a good year. I believe they brought in some nice recruits. They might have brought in a transfer or two. So this will be a good Tennessee team. The Texas Longhorns. Now, I do know a little bit about Texas. This is a good team. They brought in a lot of transfers last year. It was Transfer Nation with Chris Beard coming in when their coach Shaka Smart got fired, and I believe he went to Marquette. And then Texas brought in former Texas Tech head coach Chris Beard, and he brought in a load of transfers. And it did not necessarily work out. It was a slow start for Texas, and they didn't really necessarily have a outstanding year. They did get a number 6 seed, and they knocked off Virginia Tech and then lost to Purdue. But this is a Texas team that brought in a lot of great transfers last year, a good amount of them of which are still around, and they brought in a couple more. So for Texas, we'll see how this team gels together, see if they can gel together, that chemistry can develop, because that'll be huge for Texas if they can really gel together as a team. That would be huge, and that Longhorn team, I think, will really succeed if they can figure it all out. Number 13 is the first Big Ten team, and one of only 3 in this AP poll, believe it or not, is the Indiana Hoosiers, ranked at number 13. Tracy Jackson Davis still around for the Indiana Hoosiers. This is a good team. I mean, they have great players. Last year, they had a not-so-great season until they picked it up at the end, blew Michigan out of the water, made a nice run in the Big Ten tournament, which got them a first 4 game against Wyoming, of which they would win, and then got killed by St. Mary's. But I don't understand that one. But this Indiana team comes into this year with high expectations, bringing in good recruits, and of course just players returning from a year ago. This Indiana team is talented. It's just a matter of it performing. We'll see if that really happens. But right now, top ranked team in the Big Ten. I'd say that's pretty high praise. I'd say that's pretty good if you're an Indiana fan because you haven't seen your team really do. They haven't seen their team succeed for honestly quite a while. They have not seen their glory days for a bit here. Number 14 is TCU. Now I don't know if this is much of just how they had a great year last year and they just, really took off at the end of last year. I don't really know if that's the reason why they're so high. I think they returned most of their team from last year, but I still don't get this ranking. Again, this is the third time I'm probably saying it, but I don't really know much about some of these teams. TCU is one of them. Uh, I think they returned most of their team from last season. Other than that, I know nothing about the Horned Frogs. Number 15 is Auburn, of course, headliner here, losing Walker Kessler and Jabari Smith. So that's going to be pretty huge for Auburn, losing two of their best players from a year ago, of which their team was a number 2 seed and honestly got flamed out in the tournament pretty quickly as they lost to Miami, Florida in the second round. This is an Auburn team that, once again, is well coached. Just like a lot of these teams are all well coached. So we'll see how this season goes with the Auburn Tigers. SEC is a very tough conference for basketball with Kentucky and Tennessee and Arkansas. There's a lot of good teams in there. You can also see down there, we're going to get to another one of the SEC teams. But this Auburn team always tends to do well, so we'll see how it does this season. Number 16 is Villanova. Now, I know Jay Wright retired. I don't know if they retired at the end of last year or it was the end of the year before that. But no Jay Wright, post Jay Wright era for Villanova. And most of their experience from last season, because they were a very old team, is gone. So we'll see how Villanova recuperates after losing most of their talent from a year ago. But Villanova, obviously, enormous football program, enormous basketball program, and won multiple championships with Jay Wright. I'm sure they'll keep that winning formula still when they're with their new head coach coming in. Number 17 is Arizona. This is a team that did very well a year ago, but has lost a lot of the players that they had from a year ago, losing Benedict Mathurin. I believe they lost somebody else too. So we'll see how Arizona will recuperate from losing their NBA talent. But one of the better teams from the Pac-12, they'll be competing with UCLA this year. 18th is Virginia. Tony Bennett coaches Virginia is coached by Tony Bennett, who loves his defense, and that is all that Virginia plays because there is absolutely no offense that comes out of Charlottesville for basketball. They are a defensive-minded team. They win with their defense. They lose with their offense. So that's just how Virginia is. They're really annoying to watch. I can't stand watching Virginia games because they're so boring. But Virginia, once again, will be a defensive team this year. Doesn't matter of if their offense scores more than 50 a game, which has been an issue for the past couple of years now. 19th is San Diego State. Don't really know much about the Aztecs. Don't really know how they got to 19th. But here they are, 19th in the country. This is the back half, so at this point, it's like, who really cares? But San Diego State ranked 19th. Number 20 is Alabama. Also well coached. Alabama, I think they've lost a couple players from what they had a year ago. But this Bama team loves its offense. This is the past few years, this Bama team has been a 3-point shooting oriented squad. This team wins in 3-point shooting, and they live and die by the 3. There we go. They live and die by the 3. So we'll see how it goes from this season. But Alabama tends to have a good team for basketball. Of course, obviously, they're a football school. But they tend to have a solid basketball team. Number 21 is the Oregon Ducks. Coming into this season, last year, kind of like Texas, just not nearly as big a scale. Brought in a decent amount of transfers. Um, for them, none of them really worked. Can't remember if they were in the tournament or not. But Oregon was high expectations coming into the year last year and flopped. They really did not do so well. Oregon struggled back in the top 25 again here, though. I think they still have Nafali Dante, the big time center. They lost Davion Harmon, which was a transfer from last season. I believe they still have their Syracuse transfer. So we'll see if Oregon can gel this year, but they're also well coached. Dana Altman, I believe that's who it is over there. But Oregon, good team, good head coach. Head coach will always bring the best out of his players. I think Oregon will have another good season. And then number 22 was a bit of a surprise. The Michigan Wolverines, ranked 22nd in the country. Why? I have no idea. I mean, we do have Hunter Dickinson. Hunter Dickinson obviously is a very good center, obviously is a very good player. And then there's just a lot of guys. So, fortunately, we don't have Devontae Jones this year. Thank God that guy is gone. We have Princeton transfer now. I think it's like Jalen Llewellyn or whatever. I know nothing about him. Hopefully he's not Devontae Jones because I might die during 50 of the Michigan games this year. We also got Joey Baker, a transfer from Duke. He had a really good season last year. I think he came off the bench for the Blue Devils, but he was very good from the 3-point line, which was an issue for Michigan last season. Really struggled from the 3-point line. Wolverines, though, I mean, obviously they're well coached. I mean, we got Juwan Howard. We have some nice players. We lost some guys to the transfer portal. We brought some guys in. We have some foreigner coming in too. We have no idea who he is. But Michigan, I mean, they should have a good season. Thing about the Big Ten is not everybody is fantastic, but everybody tends to be at least good. So winning games in the Big Ten is incredibly difficult. So Michigan, though, should have, I guess, a decent year. They might sneak into the tournament. I don't know about being ranked. Maybe they have a great year. I don't know. The thing is, I don't know about any of these transfers, so I'm not expecting all that much. I mean, I'm expecting maybe like a 10 or 9 seed in the tournament. That's all I'm really hoping for. But I guess it'll be a decent year for Michigan. It's hard in the Big Ten. It's very hard in the Big Ten. So we'll see if Michigan can survive in the Big Ten this year. Next is also a Big Ten team, number 23, Illinois, obviously coached by Brad Underwood. They bring in a big-time transfer of which Michigan was actually shooting for, which is Terrence Shannon Jr. from Texas Tech. Illinois also loses, of course, Kofi Coburn as he heads off to the NBA, which is a huge loss for Illinois, as that was a great big man for the Fighting Illini. They have a couple decent players still remaining. At Illinois, of course, they lost Andre Curbelo to the transfer portal, which is a huge loss as well for Illinois. But this is a good team. This is a well-coached team. They bring in, like I said, some good transfers. They still have some of their talent from a year ago. So I think Illinois should have a good year. This is a good team. I'm expecting the Illini to have a good season. And then at number 24, we have the Dayton Flyers. I know absolutely nothing about Dayton. They don't have Obi Toppin's brother. Jacob Toppin is at Kentucky, or maybe did he transfer? I don't know. But Dayton, I know nothing about the Flyers, so I can't give you anything on Dayton. Number 25, though, I can. Number 25, Texas Tech ranks at the last spot in this top 25 poll. Texas Tech, obviously well coached, lost a couple transfers this year. But this is a good Red Raiders squad. This Texas Tech team has some solid guys, so I'd expect Mark Adams to do a good job with these guys and have a pretty solid year. All right, that is it for college basketball. I got a lot of other videos to do, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. College basketball season probably starting. Will be starting about another 2.5 weeks here. So we'll see you guys then. We'll probably do like a review every week. I don't think we're gonna be picking the games. There's way too many. So we'll just review them after the fact, and we'll kind of talk about it a little bit, maybe, or the games beforehand. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anyways, that's all for this one. Until next time, adios, everyone.